So last you saw, I took the top off the pickup. That was so that I could get that tank and that tank. One is going to be water and one is going to be for our septic system, temporary septic system here for the RV. And obviously the RV has a pump, but I don't like listening to the rattle of it long term when we're talking for a couple of years. And also I put a washer and dryer in this, and when the washer's going, it's going to be going off quite a bit. So I also got a shallow well pump with a I forget what they're called, basically a pressure canister. It's AC, and I'm going to put it underneath the RV and then run it up and connect it into here, so it'll be just like we're on city water. Battery state of charge this morning is down to 62%. I did turn on the electric fireplace this morning, and then we had another electric heater. I do definitely need to move these. I think I'm going to get an extension cord so that I can move them over into that area. I suspect we're slowly losing out even off just the RV. Now it could be the batteries need cycled and conditioned to break up any sulfation. I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, we made it to 94, but then it very quickly turned to 91% as soon as it got dark. And we did not have the fireplace on last night because it was pretty warm. So we just ran the one electric thermostated heater. The fireplace doesn't have a thermostat on it. And then the propane heat. But I think we're gonna have to do a lot better than that for winter. Today, I'm gonna pull the slides in, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna pull this back probably another 3 feet. Take the dirt, bring it around to the front and then the other side, level that off, bring in some more wood chip to cover it. I suspect what we're going to end up doing here, I think this is where my wife would like her greenhouse. So I'm considering building a greenhouse over this and capturing some of those evil greenhouse gases for winter. I think that would help quite a bit with heating. Certainly wouldn't hurt. And we're going to fill those this morning. All right, last you saw, I was taking the top off the truck. That was so I could go to town and pick up that and that. The first one is going to be our water. I bought a shallow well pump with a diaphragm in it to provide pressure. The RV does have a pump on it, but I think, as I mentioned before, I don't like listening to it go off all the time. These are really cool. It'll be underneath the RV, and it provides pressure, uses AC to do it, and doesn't cycle as much and is a lot quieter. So from the RV standpoint, when you're inside it, you may barely be able to hear it, but it'll be more like being on city power all the time. I should also start doing somewhat of a review on some of these things that I've gotten. This excavator is absolutely amazing. I mean, I used it obviously to dig these holes, and then if you need to lift that tank and set it down in there without caving your walls, just took this chain right here and a piece of pipe. You run the chain through it so that you can lift it up by that opening, and you can lift it easily, place it, spin it without any hassle. Did that with both. But this thing just is, it's unreal. I'm going to have a very hard time getting rid of it when I'm done with it, because it is so versatile. It's just an amazing, I mean, these piles of dirt in no time flat. And it kind of is funny. Every time I'm thinking, oh, it's just a little bit of dirt, and I grab a shovel, like when I was doing those holes, you end up with a little bit of dirt down on the bottom of them. Then you get down in there with a shovel and you're like, you know what? I'm going to hop back on the excavator because it just makes quick work of it. We also today widened this, and we'll bring in more of the chip material. We're bringing it around to the front because I think, as I probably mentioned before, we're going to build a greenhouse over this, because this is where my wife wants her greenhouse. So we'll just make it so that the greenhouse, when we're done, we can pull the RV out of it, and then she's got a greenhouse. We're bringing some of that dirt that we're getting over to this side, filling it out more. Obviously, it's quite a bit more to do, but it gives us a little bit more room there. And as you can see, we now live in the land where you own your own trash can and you have to take it to a landfill. So now I know where my trash goes. But back to this excavator. This is a Mustang, which, as I understand it, is just a rebadged Yanmar. And I spent a lot of time on Craigslist, Equipment Trader, looking at excavators, and I wanted a used one. And quite frankly, I got a great deal on this. company out of California. It was brand new. And what I found with excavators is their resale value stays very high until they start getting older. And as they get older, then they've got a lot of hours on them and there's potential problems. And so in essence, I ended up getting this for about what I was looking to pay. Well, it was more than I wanted to pay for a used one, but it was about what I was going to have to pay for a used one of a decent size. This is a 12-ton excavator. I want to say it's 50 horse. It's got plenty of power. Obviously, it could always be bigger and it could always be faster, but it's just time. I have yet to find, I mean, you saw some of those stumps I'm taking out. Yeah, I have to work it a little bit, but some of them, there's 2 or 3 of them that are tied together, but it has yet to fail in anything that I've asked it to do. I am super impressed with that excavator. Very happy with it. This, on the other hand, we're not so jazzed about. It was a demo model, so it came with a warranty, and we are going to be taking it back. But of course, we have to load it up and take it about 2 hours to get the warranty work done on it. From the time I got it, it's had problems. A lot of just, you know, everything is computer controlled now. If the computer's not happy, nothing's happy. And I'm sure that they can fix it, but a little bit disappointed that I'm even having these problems to begin with. These are not an inexpensive machine. You know, I like the look of it. It'll, you know, it hauls, the bed dumps, but, and it's got heat and air conditioning, which were, the heat for the most part was one of the big drivers for us. Got a nice winch on the front of it, and it does great. But one of the problems I have is it's got this error that comes up, multiple errors that come up. The power steering will throw an error, the battery will throw an error, the oil will throw an error. It constantly comes up and says gear fault. And then when you go to drive it, it lurches forward. It's exactly like if you've ever been in with somebody who doesn't know how to drive a clutch and they're first learning, and so you mess around with it. It's hard to get into gear, hard to get out of gear. I suspect it's an adjustment, but quite frankly, for what we paid for it, considering it's new as a demo model, I don't think it should have had those problems at all. So we'll be taking it back. They have assured us that they can fix it. And then there's a lot of other little things that I don't care for. Like it has a dump bed. Awesome. But the dump bed goes up just enough that stuff almost slides out of it, but doesn't. So you put the bed up, which in that regard, it's nice, but then you have to climb up into it and shove the chips or the dirt or whatever out of it. It's just little things like that. Design things that you would think that they would have had ironed out by now. But other than that, I'm hopeful that once they... we've used it to skid logs, and it works great. I mean, it'll drag a log around, and I'm hopeful that once they get these bugs ironed out of it, that we'll be happy with it. Because at this point, I can't say I recommend that. The other thing we got was the skid steer, and it was used. It's a 2013, I think, really low hours, has 800 hours on it. And for anybody who's had a skid steer, you know what they're all about. Tons of attachments, very versatile tool. I was really torn between this and a tractor. What it really came down to be quite honest, was I've had a tractor before, and I'm going to be doing a lot of snow removal, and I had a 3-point hitch doing snow removal on the back, and you spend 3 hours looking over your shoulder, you don't even know that you have a crick in your neck until you turn it around and experience that sharp pain that lasts for quite a while. I'm going to put a snow blower on the front of this. The cab is heated and air conditioned. Again, mostly I'm after the heat. I was also torn between wheeled and tracked, and I ended up going with wheeled because I learned that tracked on the snow, they skate around really bad. For regular work, I'd prefer tracked, but with this, I can chain it up and I'll be able to get around in the snow. We've started picking up different implements for it, and so far, you know, I mean, it's skid steer, great for moving dirt. We pulled this chip back and we put all of this extra dirt over on this side, and we're going to be doing a whole bunch more as we continue to fill this area out and make our little patio area. But so far, I mean, it's a skid steer, does great, plenty of power. I'm able to run attachments off the front of it, which we'll show now. We picked this up at a local auction. It was brand new. It is, I want to say, I think it's called a Cutter King. I'm not sure. But it was brand new, and we got it for, actually, Mower King. That's the name of it. So one of these, about the cheapest one, goes for about $2,500. And I got it for about $1,500 at an auction. I talked to them and asked them how they're selling them for so cheap, being brand new at an auction. And I suspect what this is a ton of them come over from China, and then they get, you know, whatever's left over, and they sell them. This also, now I suspect if I'd have bought one of the more expensive ones, because they're all knockoffs of each other, I'd probably have the same issues with it. My first issue is both of the Zerk fittings were pressed in, and both of them came out. So I have to go through and fix that. You know, it's just cheap workmanship. The other thing that I find is it, you know, it says it'll chip 4-inch. That's probably pushing it. I mean, you could do it if you've got a hold of it and jerk it out to let it spool up again. It does a great job on, say, 3-inch or smaller. I mean, it'll just tear it up. But if you get too small or you get into the needles, it plugs up. It plugs up right in here. You open this up, and then you have to clean it out so that you can go again. You know, just an interruption. But a lot of it, again, is simple stuff. Like knowing that you have to get in here and open this up fairly frequently. Why would you put a nut and a bolt there instead of just putting a latch that you can pull down? Then you can open it up quickly, get into there, clean it out. You know, it's just, I find often it's almost like these things aren't designed by people who actually go out and use them. Because if you use this for any period of time, as soon as I get my welder, that's probably one of the first things I'm going to do is take that and put a different latch on it. But other than that, you know, it chips. It was cheap, so I really can't complain, because it was $1,000 cheaper than anything else that I could get that was new. And I suspect I'd had the same problems with those also, because like I said, most of them are just knockoffs. At the end of the day, we're going to be using that thing a lot. All right, it is quite dark. Let's see what one of these lights will do. Oh, check that out. You can definitely work at night with these. Had to go to town to get some fittings, so we picked up this small freezer that we had just for storing extra stuff. Alright, we took the tank out, plugged the main hole that they had in it. I actually realized I could have used it afterwards, and then put these two pipe fittings in. One there, not sure if you can see there, one over there, and started digging the drain. Yesterday, we got the drain line in and buried, and I put in the source line. We ran it up to the creek. We also got the fittings put into that. That took quite a while to get those fittings in the end of that. There's a couple of T's in the end so that it separates. The solids obviously are on the bottom, then you got your liquid, and then it keeps the scum from going into the pipe as it comes out. I know we're bouncing around quite a bit, but I kind of have to do things as the occasion, I guess I'd say, presents. I need to give our neighbor back his gooseneck hitch, but I want to get this up on blocks. These legs, when the washer's running, it just vibrates, and if I put it, I was going to block under the frame, but if I do, it's got a weather package that comes underneath the frame, so we're going to make wooden blocks for the legs, just so the legs are shorter, because they're kind of spindly, and when the washer's running it vibrates a little bit. It'll help solidify it, and I'm going to use that gooseneck to hold the front up while I'm doing the blocks for the front. All right, those are done. I used that stump just to be able to raise it up off of there. We measured and cut logs and put under it. I made the front ones so that they're angled in just a little bit. That should make it about as solid as it can be. There we go. Gravity fed water cistern. When that fills up, then it'll overflow out this one and go back to the creek. Hey, you saw the septic system tank that's over here. All of this piping here is for the drain field I still have to put in, but we ran the ditch through here and it's buried up to here. This piece right here is not glued. That way I can unturn that, turn the whole thing sideways to pull this off. But this is permanent until we disconnect from here anyway. But now we can run our gray and black down into a septic system with a leach field. I should probably also point out that the reason I chose this one to not glue is because you have a male fitting down into a female fitting, so any fluid can't climb back up. If I'd left this one loose, it obviously could have seeped from the female onto the outside of the male. I'd show the inaugural flush, but that's not anything anybody wants to see, so you just have to trust us that it works, or I'll let you know it doesn't. All right, now that the black's done, I'll let you watch the gray. The water system is in. I'm not sure if you can hear that. That's the water going in and going out of the tank. So quick recap, I've got the water coming in over here, and I did change it. I ran the line around to here and put this ball valve right here. That way I can turn it off if I want to from the creek. That way I don't lose my siphon or get air in the line. So if I turn this, it just turns the water off coming in from the creek. And then it comes back over to this side where the fill is at. And then the drain is over here and it goes back to the creek. Under here, I put this pump. That pump has a diaphragm tank in it. So the pump comes on at 30 psi and then goes off automatically when it gets to 50 psi. So you can see there I've got a one-way valve coming across. So it's down into the tank, not all the way at the bottom, so I'm not sucking stuff off at the bottom. But then it runs out over on the smaller one, down here, goes over, goes underneath. I placed it here because this way if we ever put the slide in, it's going to clear it. And then whether we put a building over it or we skirt it, that pump and all the lines are going to be inside where they're out of the weather. By having the water running all of the time from the creek, it shouldn't freeze because it's running all the time into that tank, and that tank is in a warmed area. This area is pretty rough from all of the digging that we've been doing for preparation. Here you can see the water line coming across underneath it, and then it comes up into here. Here I ran it up and I just put this so that we can hook a hose if we want onto here, but then it comes up and it goes into my city water. So that way we don't have to listen to the rattle of that DC pump, and actually we don't even hear it. It just comes on and then goes off whenever we're using water. This thing is my next challenge. It's working horribly, and it seems to be getting worse. The batteries are clearly sulfated, and I'm getting, let's see, on the 17th we made 6.6 kilowatts. On the 16th we made 6.9 kilowatts. On the 18th it was a little cloudy, 5.7. Today it's raining. Oh, it's not going to show today till the end of the day. But anyway, the bottom line, we're making plenty of power to run what little we're using in the fifth wheel. The batteries, last night I had on the generator, got it up to like 93%, came out this morning, and it was at 60-something%. Which, the only thing running at night is the heat, which is propane. I mean, it should be having no problems. These batteries are just going dead really fast. They're not holding a charge. So, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do there. I should probably mention there are processes to desulfate batteries that work pretty well, but they require access to power in order to desulfate the batteries. So